make sure that our voices are heard in the debate about gun violence and gun reform in the United States. And so our organization, Community Coalition, works with student leaders and other leaders from the community to talk about how do we make sure South LA gets what it deserves as well. So at the March for Our Lives, we talked about how oftentimes these conversations happen and they're focused on suburban communities without talking about what's happening in our communities every single day. So if we talk about gun violence, you can't just talk about the mass shootings that happen at a high school. You have to talk about South LA and the black and brown kids that get shot every single day. Edna Chavez was a young woman from South Central, from Community Coalition, who said, we got to talk about what's happening here. And she went to Washington, D.C. with about 30 of our students, and she was able to speak on the national stage about making sure we were part of that story as well. And this is what we do every day at Community Coalition. We make sure that folks from the community get involved to make the change. You all got a chance to talk about how South LA and what it means to you, how you got here. You got a chance to talk about what people are in South LA and how it's changed over time. Karen Bass, anybody know who Karen Bass is?
She's a congresswoman.
She's a congresswoman. Back in the 80s, Karen Bass was a physician's assistant in the emergency room. Every day during that time, she was noticing that during the crack cocaine epidemic, the influx of folks that were coming in related to issues of gun violence, related to the actual drugs themselves, it was getting so out of control and no one was doing anything about it. And so making sure that the community had a voice in that, Karen Bass brought the community together and said, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna talk about so that we can actually do something about it? And so she helped to found Community Coalition. And right after she founded Community Coalition, the Los Angeles civil unrest occurred. The LA riots of 1992. And during that time, when the civil unrest occurred, a lot of places were burned down. And a lot of that time, it was liquor stores that were burned down. South Central LA at that time had more liquor stores than the entire state of Rhode Island. And the community came together and said, we don't want more liquor stores in our community. We want to know that we're not going to rebuild those liquor stores because our community deserves better than that. And so what we did was our community was able to build that leadership, was able to say, no, if we rebuild South LA, we want to make sure that those liquor stores don't come back. More recently, down the street on King and Western, our community said, we don't feel safe at our parks in our community. We don't feel like we can take our families to the parks in our community because they don't have the resources they need. So at King Park, the community came together and they said, we want to see programs. Summer night lights came around. They beautified the park. Community Coalition was making sure that the leaders in the community were able to come to that park. And now if you go to King Park, people love going to the park. People feel like it's now ours again. And so we talk about how making change in the community starts with us. It starts with those of us who say we want to see